People had gathered around the old 1940 Rolls-Royce like it was a sleeping giant, beautiful, legendary, and completely impossible to wake. The car sat in the middle of the classic car garage in Toronto, surrounded by frustrated experts who had spent 3 weeks trying to fix it. Every one of them had failed. But nobody knew that the person who would bring it back to life wasn't a mechanic, wasn't an engineer, wasn't even an adult. She was a quiet 15-year-old girl who had been standing in the corner, unnoticed, sweeping the floor while listening to everything. The owner of the car, Mr. Harrington, an elderly retired pilot who had brought the Rolls-Royce from England decades ago, looked heartbroken as he watched the specialists argue. This car had belonged to his late wife. It was the last piece of her he still held onto, and restoring it was the only thing he'd wished for his upcoming 80th birthday. But the engine wouldn't even turn. It had defeated every expert in the city. He leaned on his cane, trying not to show the disappointment written across his face. Meanwhile, the garage janitor, Daniel, quietly mopped the floor. He had been working extra shifts to support his daughter Lily, who loved machines more than anything. Lily had been coming with him after school ever since her mother passed away. She didn't talk much, but she watched everything, every bolt, every wire, every mistake the experts made while trying to revive the Rolls-Royce. That afternoon, the experts finally gave up. One by one, they packed their tools with annoyed faces, blaming the age of the vehicle, the outdated design, the impossible wiring. Mr. Harrington stood there alone, gently touching the hood like he was saying goodbye. Daniel placed a comforting hand on his shoulder, but even he didn't know how to help. Lily, who had been silent since morning, walked closer to the car. She didn't say a word. She just stared at the engine, her mind racing. She had spent days secretly studying old manuals in the back of the garage, learning the car's design, memorizing every diagram. And now, as she stood there, she noticed something everyone else had missed: an old inline choke valve, nearly invisible, jammed behind a misaligned pipe. Her father noticed her staring. "Lily, sweetheart, what are you doing?" he whispered. She didn't look away. "Dad, may I try?" Those words made the entire garage fall silent. The last remaining mechanic scoffed under his breath. "Kid, this isn't a school project. It's a Rolls-Royce." But Mr. Harrington turned toward her with tired, gentle eyes. "Let her," he said softly. "At this point, she can't do worse than the rest of us." Daniel looked shocked, nervous, but Lily stepped forward with a confidence that surprised even her father. Her hands trembled slightly as she asked for a small wrench. When she got it, she crawled halfway into the engine compartment. Everyone watched, half curious, half doubtful. Within minutes, she disconnected the old valve, cleared the block, reattached a forgotten vacuum line, and tightened the parts as if she'd been doing it for years. Her small hands moved quickly, precisely, guided not by experience but by instinct. When she climbed back out, her face was smudged with grease, and her heartbeat felt like thunder. "Try it now," she said softly. No one breathed as Mr. Harrington sat in the driver's seat. His frail hands turned the key. For a second, nothing happened. Then a cough. Then a deep growl. Then a rich, powerful roar that echoed across the garage. The engine came to life, smooth, clean, and strong, just like it had 80 years ago. Mr. Harrington covered his mouth as tears rolled down his cheeks. He stepped out slowly, walked toward Lily, and placed both hands on her shoulders. "My dear, you just brought back a piece of my wife. You gave me something I thought I would never hear again, the sound of her favorite car." Lily's father wiped his eyes, overwhelmed with pride, barely believing what had happened. The experts who had mocked her now stood speechless, their faces pale with embarrassment and awe. Word spread within hours. A 15-year-old girl had fixed what the city's best mechanics couldn't. Some called it talent, some called it luck, but Lily knew the truth: it was love. Love for her father, love for learning, love for machines. It was the same love that had kept her going after losing her mother. Before leaving, Mr. Harrington placed a small velvet box in Lily's hand. Inside was a delicate gold chain that had belonged to his wife. "She would have adored you," he whispered. Lily hugged it close to her chest, feeling warmth she hadn't felt in years. The engine hummed behind them, alive again, just like hope. And as they locked the shop that evening, Daniel put his arm around his daughter. For the first time in a long time, she smiled. Not because she had shocked experts, not because people would talk about her, but because she had helped someone heal. In the end, it wasn't about the Rolls-Royce. It was about a girl who reminded everyone that greatness doesn't always come from titles, experience, or age. Sometimes, it comes from the quiet kid sweeping the floor, waiting for her moment to shine.